This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Mysteries, hosted by Alexis and...
Grace, that is I.
There she is. She's there. Hello.
I did it.
Sometimes we finish each other's sentences. Sometimes we don't.
Nice.
This was one of the rare occasions where we did not.
Do you think I was going to get in there again? I was going to say did.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't going to go well, so I just pulled out.
It happened again.
I did not yes end you.
Start
Sorry.
over.
But speaking of starting over, not really. That wasn't a good transition.
We'll make
I
it
need
work.
a correction for the record that Bird just pointed out to me. In my last story, I foolishly ignored the blatant example literally in my face from Bird drinking her mug. For those watching the vlog, look how right she is in drinking this mug with the Hulk on it, because I, in talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, was like, we don't know how someone changes into someone else. I don't know. Crazy chemicals, whatever. But Bird,
gamma radiation testing.
Tell us more about how right you are with said Hulk. Is that how he became the Hulk?
Yeah, that's about it. Bruce Banner, he was doing his research, I've got to be totally honest. I don't think he was sick or anything, and that he was trying to come up with some cure for an illness like a lot of other superheroes come about their powers. But I'm not totally sure. Maybe on next week's episode, I may be correcting this record of me correcting Grace's record. but nonetheless, he is he's a physicist, chemist, all sorts of conglomerates of scientists, geniuses. And as he's doing gamma radiation research, some crazy reaction occurs that causes his cellular structure to be totally destroyed, and the Hulk's DNA, whatever comes in. It's essentially the Hulk as Bruce Banner with gamma radiation. It's similar to Jekyll and Hyde, because for a long time, until he gets a feel for how it is to be the Hulk, for a while, he's a totally different person. He can't control himself when he's the Hulk. So similar to Mr. Hyde going out and doing things while Jekyll is asleep or whatever. Not to say Bruce is asleep, he kind of remembers what happens when he's the Hulk, but he's not in control. Yep. Right, the Hulk is in control.
Well, and one, thank you for that brief history, but two, also potentially similar, because the 1886 Dr. Jekyll, there's no regulations. He could have been fucking working with radioactive substances. So
true.
Yeah. Again, could have been a little closer.
It could have. Yeah, honestly, I guarantee you that if I go back through the history of the Incredible Hulk and what Stan Lee or Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, whichever one of them wrote the Hulk, they probably were inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, at least a little bit when they were thinking up the Hulk. I'd be super surprised if they weren't. So anyway. Little rehash. If you're listening to this right now, what the hell are they talking about? I recommend going back and listening to a couple episodes back, actually, where Grace recapped season 2 of Scooby-Doo. Where Are You? Episode 2?
Episode 1, season 2, episode 1.
Sorry, yes.
Nowhere to Hide. Nowhere my last story. Yeah, so go back a couple and then come back to this one, though. And then listen to the birds in between these two.
Or actually, listen to this one first, and then listen to that one, and then listen to mine in between, and then re-listen to this one, and then recycle until we put a new one out next week.
Do that between now and next week, and then next week you can listen to the new one. That will be Alexis's. So
that's your homework assignment.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, so it's very great and interesting that I didn't realize we were doing this until not the podcast. I knew we were doing this, but talking about the Hulk, because this also somewhat has to do with my story today.
Look at these transitions,
really
so
weird
perfect.
Happenstance of I'll just say the monster in this one of a werewolf. So another uncontrollable transformation.
God, why do we always do this? Stop finishing I guess in that case I kind of finished your sentence.
Right, but then I made the period at the end of your sentence a comma and continued the sentence together. Yeah. Which is lovely.
Together we make a full paragraph.
Oh, but it's a run-on paragraph. It's one sentence. So.
Yeah, and I didn't say it was a well-written paragraph. I just said it's a paragraph.
Yeah, don't put words in my mouth like that. Okay, so we're gonna get into this today.
Jump in. Tell me about this werewolf.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little weird today because
it's still Scooby-Doo, obviously, right?
Yes, thank you. We're still in Scooby-Doo verse. But as I've been doing Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Alexis has been doing Scooby-Doo show. We're just kind of doing that because we like those seasons. And so we're like, is that the one you were doing?
Yes. Yeah. Scooby-Doo show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we were kind of just like, there's no real rules though, except for right now we're doing Scooby-Doo. And when we switch shows, we'll just do various seasons from that show, all of that. But I decided for this one, my next story will go back to the classic Where Are You? That I already have picked out, but this one we went very modern to a season I had not yet watched yet. And I know there's been so many iterations of Scooby-Doo because it's the show that just keeps on giving. I overarchingly haven't watched a ton of the modern stuff, but I was like, let's do it. Sure, why not? I want to preface this that I can be pretty judgy when it comes to the modern seasons. Like, I won't lie, but I really tried to go into this one with like a super open mind and being like, don't compare it to the old ones. This is still the show you love. Like, you can just love it in a different way. Yeah. Just trying to be way more open about it instead of immediately seeing an animation with like an outfit change and being like, they changed the outfit.
There are natural things. If they want to keep the cartoon alive, there are small tweaks that they're going to have to make because as we noted in the episode that I did last, there was a lot of unfortunate racism.
Yes.
With the episode having been written in the late mid-70s. So there are some things naturally that they had to update with the writing and with the characterization. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. And like you said, remember, it's still the beloved Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated gang that we've all grown up to love and enjoy.
Yep. So I picked my iteration. I picked my season. I picked a random episode. And I happened to pick a fucking musical episode.
Oh, Christ. I don't know. Okay.
Let me hear it.
We might lose a lot of subscribers with me saying this, but I really have a problem when shows go musical for no reason. And by the tone of your voice, when you said that, I feel like you may have a problem with that too. And I know we've never had this conversation before. It's funny. I was just thinking like last night watching something. I don't remember what show I was watching, but I feel like any show, when you bring in a musical component, if it wasn't already there before, that is the moment that the show jumps the shark, in my opinion. It's like at that moment, the show, it's like, it's the point of no return. It's going downhill. They are now, it's a musical, but every now and again, a show can do it well. So again,
for me,
I'm open-minded here.
Yes. Yeah. So I tried to go into it with that. For me, the moment that a show, you're like, what are you doing? Is when they do the flashback episode and it's just clips from earlier seasons when they're like, remember the time that, and then it clips to like season 2 and it's like season 10. How
lazy are you producers? Yeah. Can't even film new stuff.
Yeah. That's when I get upset about it. So, I love musicals. I agree that sometimes in a cartoon or like a TV show, you're like, what?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's a good distinction.
Correct the record. I love musicals. I love Broadway. Like, that's not the issue. The thing is, I don't like when a TV show that has nothing to do with being a musical randomly becomes a musical because the writers can't think of anything else to do, or because they just feel like that's what kids like to watch. Like for some reason, like every show now has a musical episode. Yeah. And, like, do people really enjoy this?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Let us know.
I don't know. Yeah, if you like them, like, hey, that's for like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yep. I'm not going to judge you for liking a musical episode of a non-musical show.
Yes.
But man, let us know if you do like them, because I really did not think that was something that was popular, but for some reason it keeps happening, so it must be popular.
Yep, and like let us know like why it appeals to you. Maybe you're like more of a musical overall lover than even we are, but like just let us know in the comments.
Change our minds. Try to change our minds
but like
why
nicely.
we too should like. Don't be mean.
Be polite.
You're not going to change my mind by calling me rude names and
exactly,
criticizing my judgment. But
so I'm glad we both clearly shared this feeling. And so when I like started and I was like, what have I done? I was like, Grace, stick with it, like be in it to win it.
I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you for sticking with it, because you could have not done it and none of us would have ever known.
Yeah.
Like you literally could have been like, no, I'm going to hit random next button and we'll do that one instead.
I had to be honest.
Thank you.
And I will say that in today's story, and I'll get into like the season and all of that stuff, because I need to explain also like we'll get into it. But I do want to say that we're not going to be focusing on the actual musical component. We're going to be focusing, on like the mystery they're singing about. But like, I want to acknowledge up front that like, as you listen to me talking today, keep in mind that most of what I'm telling you is in song form. And I'm sorry, but not good song form.
Oh man. I'm before you even start reading what you've written, I'm already super impressed with whatever you've written, because you've had to kind of we're already reverse engineering these episodes when we do this, but you're like reverse engineering a reversely engineered thing, because you're having to deconstruct songs and then also deconstruct an episode. So before you even get started, well done.
Thank you
say
so
I already
much,
know it's going to be good. Yeah.
Because also these songs were not good. I love Scooby-Doo so much with every inch of my heart, and I love musicals so much. I listen to them all the time. But I'm gonna read you a couple stanzas from different songs. Okay,
let's go.
I'll recite them as spoken word lyrics.
I'm gonna wait to take a sip of my drink. I was just about to take a sip. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that right now. It's gonna be all over my laptop.
Yep. I won't tell you like what's fully happening. We'll give you some context to like these are kind of like the choruses of different songs. So this one is mainly sung by Velma, and it's in Going Through the Clues. I can't see without my glasses, but I can see what's true. I can't see without my glasses, but I can see you. Okay. And then this one, which is kind of like to the tune of like very loosely like taken from, I think, Heart's Magic Man, which is a great song. And this one is while Fred is setting up the eventual, trap, as Fred always does. He's a man with a plan. He's a trapping man. He's a man with a big blonde head. He's a man called Fred. This one.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't think you can call someone a trapping man on Cartoon Network. But
this is 2019, by the way.
Oh, I was just going to ask, what year did this come out? Oh my God.
2020.
So this is in a time where trapping is known to not be a positive. Okay, cool.
I think they meant like he's trapping like
I get it. Yeah, like a trap to catch someone. Yes, I get it. But most people, well, not most people.
Yes.
A lot of people think of trapping as like a trap house, like where you buy drugs. But anyway.
Exactly. Yes.
Not Fred though. Not Fred Jones.
No. This is different. And then finally, this is actually the like opening song when I knew I was in trouble. Because the opening song is just them about like how they catch ghosts, and this is part of it. And you see, it's always some kind of crime or scam, and we'll solve it as quickly as we can. We almost don't have to ask, because it's always a guy in a mask.
They pretty much just like debunk the entire series.
Yeah, like
in that one, it's like, hey, you guys.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. You're supposed to like leave a little bit of wonder and fantasy for the audience. And
then, it's okay. Yeah, that's out of the way. We know it's a musical now. Everyone.
I'm sorry. I love how you do this and you land on a musical episode. How does that happen?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get into why I think I should have known in advance, but I was literally just like, okay, I'm about to get into it. So the season I decided to go with is called Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, which is recent. Yeah. So 2019. And it features a celebrity guest star every episode. which is cool. Like
I've never seen this one before.
Yeah.
Is this on HBO Max? Sorry.
It is, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a watch
for that next
this
time
week.
And make sure it's not a musical. Or it is.
I really hope every episode isn't a musical.
I do not think it is. So I randomly chose, I was just like season 1, scroll, click, play. But season 1 of, again, Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, episode 25, entitled, and I should have read the title. Again, this is mainly about my mistakes here. But it was entitled The High School Wolfman's Musical Lament. It said musical in the title, and I just didn't pay attention to it. So that's also why I was like...
Or you thought that it wouldn't actually have to...
Yeah.
Sometimes they throw random words in their titles that like actually don't have anything to do. So
yes,
the episode. So who knows?
And also a little bit of me, I was like, oh, High School Musical, is this going to have like Zac Efron in it? Like, is that... It doesn't.
That would have made the episode really good.
Yeah. So
fun fact, I've loved Zac Efron from day one to day whenever. It's like that it's like that guy who you just watch like your entire upbringing. Like when you're a kid, you love him in Summerland, then you're a preteen and you love him in High School Musical, and then you're like, oh, he's so great. Anyway.
Yes. No, I agree, and I hope that everyone else also agrees with that.
Yeah, if you don't, do not leave it in the comments.
We don't want to hear your opinion.
Dead to me.
I will briefly talk about the celebrity in this episode also before we get into the whole story. Okay. There's a lot of intro to this situation. So yeah, the celebrity in this episode is Christian Slater, who...
Oh my God, I love it so much already.
Oh, okay, good. I have to say it first. I was like, I don't really know who Christian Slater is, but I IMDb'd it and I was like, oh, I obviously fucking know who this is. The like late 80s, early 90s, like teenage heartthrob, like JD in the Heathers. I mean, I was like a little psychopath in that movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think The Heathers is probably actually the only movie I really know him from. And then also he was a guest character in Archer, which is funny because we were just talking about Archer today off recording. But yeah, so again, coming full circle with all of our conversations. But go on.
Well, so for those who haven't seen Heathers, like you definitely should. It's incredible. A college classic.
Yes.
I looked up some other stuff that he was in because similarly, I was, as soon as I saw him as like, in the Heathers, I was like, oh no shit, of course I know him. He's also in a Brad Pitt movie, Interview with the Vampire, which I think is like peak 90s Brad Pitt.
That movie.
Same.
To the list.
Yeah, he's also in, I think this is a newer show, but I think it's gotten like incredible reviews, called Dr. Death, which is like fitting for true crime. Yeah, so he's in that somewhere.
That's on Peacock.
He's the main character. Yeah.
I've not watched it yet, but it's also on my list because it's got Pacey, Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek is the main. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a throwback from like Teenage Heartthrobs now into like a serial killer movie.
Yeah, we're leaving animation and we're now going to talk about like teenage 90s heartthrobs. Who turn to actual crime.
And then apparently he's also in True Romance, which I haven't seen, but like it was on his IMDb page, so I assumed it was popular.
Probably a big one.
And then I found out he is one of the voices in Fern Gully.
Oh, isn't he the Bat? No, that's Robin Williams.
No.
Who is he in Fern Gully?
So in Fern Gully, he's like his name's Pip, and he's, I think, like the often like shirtless, like bulky one who's like kind of the love, like would be the love interest before like the new love interest comes in, and then he's just like a friend of the two main characters. So like the red hair. Yeah. So I was very impressed by that fact.
All right, Christian Slater. Let's go. I'm going to rewatch Fern Gully now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just so I can hear his voice. He has he does have a very recognizable voice too, though.
Yeah, and that's
I guess I know that more from Archer than from Heathers because that was a while ago, so I'm sure his voice has changed since then. But now that I've heard his voice in Archer, I'm like, I recognize that voice anywhere.
Gotta say, it has not. His voice is so distinct.
Really?
And that's why when he like came on, he was like, and I'm Christian Slater. I was like, I don't know your name, but I know your voice immediately. Yeah, I was just also watching Archer. So similar to your story, last time that they are not in Coolsville for this tale. They're also on vacay or something. Also a funny note, and I'm gonna like, maybe I have this later on. But they have a lot of, I'll talk about it in a minute, but they have a lot of like little things that they've added that are very funny, of like almost like breaking the fourth wall or meta, or just seeing that it's like updated and like almost kind of making fun of themselves, probably for the adults watching.
Yeah.
So I do want to say, this is less of them making fun of, but in the mystery machine, they're all wearing seatbelts now, which I like didn't realize that
laws have changed a little bit.
Yeah, but now they all
early episodes
strapped in. So that's great. But now they're in New York City, baby, specifically on Broadway. Where are their parents? I don't know still. I'm
glad that they're on Broadway, because I was going to ask at some point, like, why is this a musical again?
Yep, that's why.
I was like, are they like putting on a play at their high school or whatever? But no, okay, that helps. That helps. Like, and now that I know it's Broadway, I'm more excited about it being a musical episode than before knowing it was Broadway.
I mean, I will say, like, they're literally just driving on the street called Broadway, like the actual street, and being like, wow, look at everything. And then that's the only thing that actually has to do with Broadway.
I've not been to New York City, but like, so just randomly assuming, say that like the main part of Broadway was on like the 100th block of Broadway Street. They're actually on like the 5,000th block of Broadway. They're like, look, we're on Broadway. I mean, like so far away from everything, but like they're on Broadway.
Technically, you're not wrong. I mean, I could probably find a street near me called Broadway. Like, it's a pretty common name.
I know there's one around here. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so as they're like gallivanting through the bright lights and the big city, and again singing constantly about it very poorly, the mystery comes to them as per usual, because out from one of the theaters they're driving by, literally like from the theater launches a werewolf onto the top of the mystery machine. And it's sending them.
That would be absolutely frightening. I'm sorry. That would be terrifying.
I mean, I will say, like, the gang has learned over the years to not throw it in park and like disperse. They're like, we're going to throw this thing off. Fred is like careening over like the packed streets of New York, but this werewolf is straight up like peeling back the roof of like the mystery machine, which is very scary. But again, like Fred, you know, careening, driving around, going a little crazy, freaking the fuck out, obviously. Understandably, he's a little bit distracted. And he drives.
Texting. He was on his cell phone.
He was fucking texting. He's taking a TikTok of the werewolf for the gram.
Doing like a dance as he's like filming and driving.
Yeah, probably. And so, understandably distracted, he drives the van off of a wharf into the harbor, and it plummets into the bottom of it. I don't know which bay or harbor in New York City.
Okay, I didn't know that they were that close to Broadway.
I don't know.
Didn't know they had wharfs just a couple blocks away from Broadway. Like,
I didn't look it up. I don't know how long
they really might have. Like I said, I've never been there.
Same, and I didn't bother to look it up. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, so notably,
I think we know though. There's not. But
we'll act like there's some water nearby. Whatever. There's some islands. Okay. Anyways, notably, the werewolf does like tuck and roll off of the van before they like careen into like these very probably super polluted waters. And the werewolf runs off. So yeah, I want to pause and appreciate again the like things they've kind of thrown in there now in like modern seasons, this modern season, because like it reminds me of watching like Monsters University versus Monsters Inc. They know that we watched Monsters Inc. as a kid, and we're the ones watching Monsters University, so they have like a bunch of little small jokes in there for like adults. So, and just like, I don't know, not even that it's like inappropriate jokes or anything, but like, so right now, instead of just seeing them, humor. Exactly. So instead of right now just seeing them like plummet into the water, and then seconds later, like they're dry, we like fully see them like trying to clamber out of the water and like get back on like the dock, and they're like soaking wet and like miserable. At another point, we see the mystery machine is like illegally parked, and there's like 14 parking tickets on like the windshield. Which was so fucking funny.
That's hilarious.
And I should have written the actual phrase down, but I lost my shit, because I will say, when I was trying to figure out what season I wanted to do, I almost did like the Scooby and Scrappy season. And then I was like, we're going to lose followers. Everyone hates Scrappy-Doo type of thing. And there's literally where there's a line in one of the songs that Christian Slater sings that's like, oh God, I should have written it down, but it's like, and I'm here to hear Scooby sit, and I'm here to hear a dog sing. Scooby, not Scrappy, of course. And so, like, blatantly, the animators are like, we know we fucked up this season. Sorry.
We know you hate that dude. Okay, we get it.
Yeah, so it was very funny, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So
they're toying with it a little bit, playing with their. I shouldn't say it like that. I was gonna say they're playing with themselves, but that sounds anyway.
Nope. Moving on. So we cut to them climbing out of the water, and a crane has showed up to lift the van out of the water, because how else are you gonna get a van from the water? And who should be driving that crane but Christian Slater, who Velma like is fangirling over. She shakes his hand and she's like, I'm never washing this hand again. She is in love.
We know that Velma was probably a big fan of the Heathers. She seems like someone who would like the cult type of classic movies like that.
Yeah, and like Daphne like wouldn't get it type of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to call Daphne dumb or anything. It's just it's not her scene.
No, she was into a different type of movie.
Exactly.
Then.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, this is not some mere coincidence that Christian Slater is there. He saw their van and that it said Mystery Incorporated on it, which is, huge letters. And then he specifically saw like fly off of the dock into the harbor. And he happened to be both driving his crane around New York City at the time, apparently, and have a mystery that he needs help solving. So he was
good
my
timing.
Perfect excuse. Exactly.
Yeah. I won't call the cops to help you. I'll just come and get you myself.
Yeah, I'll get you myself. And also under the table, can you help me solve this mystery?
Yeah. Because I just helped you. I just saved you.
Yeah,
so
you owe me.
Pay me back. You owe me.
Yeah.
Pay me back and solve this mystery.
Yeah. This crane is very expensive to have, especially in the streets of New York. But I will say he does explain, he like kind of goes to them. I guess he didn't know who they are, but he's like, oh, you're not the legal authorities. I'm worried that no one's going to believe me with what happened. And he lays out what he needs help with. And he's like, tried to do, and we'll get into it later. Like he's tried to do some groundwork to like figure out basically like this mystery himself. And it's just kind of come up to a dead end. And like, yeah, the cops are like, you're crazy. We don't believe you, that type of thing. So he's like, kids who are driving a van believe me. Anyways, so
everyone should.
Yeah, I'm Christian Slater. Come on. So this mystery actually started 30 years ago at Slater's High School, which is indeed right there in New York City. It's like an art school, probably near Broadway because it was nearby. And it was their prom night, their senior year, when suddenly a werewolf burst into the auditorium and like completely destroyed the place. And this werewolf is like kind of, I guess, like the classic looking. He's like big. He's like hulking for some reason. It's always like giant upper body type of thing. Like ripped, like weirdly like defined muscles for like a werewolf. He's like foaming out the mouth, like yellow eyes, like kind of tattered.
Werewolf that does CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. The CrossFit werewolf coming to you 2020. And yeah, like, it's like ravaging this place. It's like flipping over tables, breaking everything, ripping down the decorations, like full on pandemonium. And rightfully so, the prom got canceled. That was 30 years ago for Slater's prom. Like they never rescheduled the prom. So why is he trying to solve this mystery now? It's because it happened again. So basically the alumni of his graduating class got together and they were like, we need a prom do-over because ours was obviously ruined. It got canceled. Cute, let's do it. Instead of a reunion, we're gonna have a prom do-over. We're gonna dress up like it's the 80s again, which is very cute, and like we're gonna relive like the romance, the drama, the life-changing experience that prom in the 80s promised on every like Molly Ringwald film at the time. Essentially,
right.
But just like last time, the werewolf struck again and destroyed every inch of the place like clockwork. And again, it's like this giant hulking, like raging werewolf. Yeah, ripped weirdly, that hates prom and apparently the people there. So the gang, being teenagers who probably love prom and want to help a celebrity out, even though he's technically a stranger, are like, we're in. It's New York City, baby.
Yeah, let's go to prom.
Yeah, let's go to prom. So they head to his high school, or his old high school with him, where, the scene of like the destroyed prom still is.
No one's cleaned it up.
Yeah,
it's like still a crime scene.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute.
Active. I was like, was this the destructive one from 30 years ago, or was this the one last night? I assume it's the one that just happened. And
the
so
one from 30 years ago, they're like, no, we need to commemorate the memory. Don't touch a thing.
Yep, not a single thing. That'd be so gross. So they head in, and yeah, it does look like it's straight up and destroyed exactly how he described it. And you even see like the claw marks and like the streamers and curtains and signs and all of that stuff. It's like in their auditorium, so there's like a little stage. It's like a fucking nice ass high school, but like it's pretty nice.
The rich art students go there.
Yeah, exactly. In the middle of New York City, no less.
Yeah.
So as they're like going through this carnage, trying to find anything that would hint towards like where this werewolf came from or anything, what's going to bring it back, the doors like burst open into this woman who's dressed as a clown and like low-key kind of seems drunk, like stumbles in, and she's there and she's like cursing Slater and like yelling at him and like the rest of their class, and Slater is just like eye rolling. He's like, yeah, Simone. And then he explains to the kids like Simone's still upset because she wanted to have a separate clown prom for all of the art students who were studying to be clowns, and everyone said no. Like, that's a super lame idea. You
go to art school to study to be a clown?
Simone did. Apparently. Yeah.
It's like how people spend like a bunch of money on student loan debt and then realize like, oh shit, I did not need that degree.
We were the clowns all along.
Yeah.
Basically. So with all of our
now you are for real. You look like a clown. Spending all that money.
Exactly. So I kind of got the vibe that like she went to this redo prom with like the same mission. But she got like super fucking drunk and is like still drunk today. And even like when like the werewolf was attacking, she was just like passed out somewhere else in the school. Cause like, why would she still be in the school from the night before and like possibly still drunk? Again, kid's so she's like not drunk. She's like slurring a little bit. And yeah, her name's Simone. Again, she and Slater are kind of like butting heads. He kind of tries to reason with her, but she like leaves pretty angrily. But as soon as she leaves and like the doors slam behind her, the doors burst back open. Well, Slater's like, it's like banging on the doors and he opens it like an idiot, even though Shaggy's like, yo, it's probably the werewolf. Like even Shaggy knows. And yes, it is the werewolf.
Of course.
And yeah, classically it gives chase. But almost immediately as they're like running across the auditorium, funny enough, actually in connection to my last story, but makes a little more sense because it's like a school play stage. Slater falls into a trapdoor.
Oh my gosh, like, they're everywhere. Yeah. Someone left the trapdoor open. Something. That's like criminal failure 101. Yeah. Do not leave the trapdoor open.
Close it behind you.
Yeah.
And so he falls in and he like yells to like the kids. He's like, keep running. Like, don't stop for me. Like, you're literally being chased by a werewolf. This is terrifying. Rightfully, he's like, I'm an adult. You are children, and keep going. And so the teens are like, okay, bye. Like they just leave him in this pit and
you'll be fine.
Keep running. Which is maybe actually good that they did, because as they run through the high school away from the werewolf, Velma finds their first clue, which is the leather heel of a shoe that fell off of whoever was wearing it. So kind of like a dress shoe, like a guy's dress shoe, I would assume. So not like a high heel, but like, or like a cute pair of boots, like that kind of heel. So not like a thin one, but like a nice chunky, sensible heel type of thing. So she pockets it. She doesn't really have time to look at it in depth because they're being chased by a werewolf. Eventually,
but she does have time to reach over and pick it.
Yes, and be like, I have noticed this. So eventually they lose the chase of the werewolf and go back to Slater, who straight up broke his leg falling into the pit.
And now I'm remembering our very first episode at the Coolsville Museum. If the sarcophagus in that episode had been lying down flat and they jumped in, what did I say? They're just going to break their shins if they did that.
Yep, I started laughing so much when that happened because I was like, Bird called it. Bird fucking called it.
I called it. I kind of felt bad. Sorry, I'll just real quick. So I kind of felt bad making that joke too afterwards. I was like, man, I hope people don't think I'm like super cruel and like laugh at people falling and like breaking their shins and being trapped. Like, no, that's just like what happens in the real world.
Just reality.
Yeah.
And they brought reality into this. except in reality stopped because, like, again, usually we ask did they call the authorities. This time I say, did they call EMTs? No, they made a cast themselves and like put him in it and then put him in a wheelchair.
Where did they get a wheelchair? I guess maybe there was one sitting around at the school. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So instead of taking him to the hospital, they like wheel him into like a different office, like the teacher's lounge or the principal's office, and they're like, hey, we've patched you up and we signed your cast. You're welcome. Can you take us through who you think did this? So again, instead of like, let's have a doctor look at your foot that we think you
here's
just
some
broke.
pain medicine.
Yeah. And then like tomorrow, let's wake you up and go through like your investigation so far. No, he's a professional actor, so he can do it now. He can act through the pain, I guess, or something. So he does take them through like the people who he thinks has like a motivation at the very least to do it. So first there's the drama teacher. And he, first of all, when we kind of like see each one of these, he's fully dressed up in like Shakespearean garb and like is holding a skull, and he's very dramatic. But he basically, obviously through song, explains how.
Oh my God, I forgot it's a musical.
You're welcome.
All of this has been in song. Oh my gosh, how? Now I understand how the lyrics were bad, because I don't know how you could write this into stanzas or into, anyway.
Oh, they do. They sure do. They sing about red herring at one point, all of this stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually this song when Slater's like, I think people are trying to throw me off the trail and like all of this stuff. And so the drama teacher, basically that he thinks like dance is like not a high enough art form, and like thus they're all peasants, and so like instead of using the stage to like host a school dance, like it should be for the theater only. There's some pretty
he's one of those artists at
school. Yes. Don't worry, because then we meet the dance teacher who thinks that school dances are a disgrace to actual dance. Like she's extremely elitist. She's like, unless you've taken like dance classes formally, you shouldn't. She's like the school of Footloose, or like the town of Footloose, basically, except like if you're good at dancing because you've taken my class, then you can dance. Otherwise, no dancing type of thing.
No dancing. That's like the antithesis of an artist. Like you can only do this art if you're good at this art.
Yeah, and specifically, yes, that like the actor was like, your art is trash, mine is good. Or the drama teacher. The dance teacher was like, my art, my dance, is the best. And she's like gatekeeping it because like you can only be a dancer if you take this class. Like, a whole thing. And then we switch away from these like total asshole teachers to a guy from Slater's class named Timmy, who basically has it out specifically for Slater and always has. They had like a rivalry in school growing up. Seems like maybe, it's art school, so it's always competitive type of thing. But because Slater's the one who made it big and like became a professional actor in Hollywood, Timmy like has had it out for him. And kind of dark. Like Timmy is literally homeless, living out of his car, like with broken windows. Yeah, it was really sad.
In New York too.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Not only does it get cold during the winter, but there's a bit of crime there. So you don't, if you're sleeping in your car, you want to have working windows. Yeah,
it was not good. It was like a flash of it. It was very dark. But he like still, it seems like he hates Slater, and that was like maybe part of his downfall, like to this, not that like being, unhoused is ever a choice, but it seems like he's really not let go of this rivalry because he has on his chest Slater hater tattooed. So it seems like, not.
You shouldn't have spent your money on that, first of all. And second off, it's like he spent all of his energy hating this guy instead of like perfecting his own craft and his own talent. It's
exactly.
Like, you could be more positive about it, and then perhaps you too could become a famous Hollywood star.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So Timmy's got some like unworked through trauma, I would say, about
poor
Slater.
Dude.
Yeah, he's like channeling all into this guy who like doesn't keep in touch probably anymore. But as they like try to like wrap their heads around like these different suspects and like dive into them a little more, out in the hall, they both see Simone and catch a glimpse of Timmy wandering the halls of the high school. And
Simone was butting heads with Slater too, you said, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
She's a clown
So they're
lady.
both kind of anti-Slater. So
Yep.
okay.
And why are there so many adults in a high school during a not specified event or as teachers? I do not know.
Yeah.
It's nighttime. What? There's no security in this school.
They don't lock the doors.
I don't think they lock the doors, or it was like, hey, I'm Christian Slater, I'm famous. Let me do what I want.
He can get in whenever he wants.
Okay.
The school is probably named after him, or like the biggest scholarship at the school is named after him, probably.
I think so. So they take off, particularly after Timmy, who like kind of like sees them coming, and he like books it down the stairs. Slater has to go take an elevator because he's in a wheelchair with a broken leg. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're like, you guys left him in the pit. Like, it's fucked up.
Their
like,
fault. Yeah.
The whole thing. So chase ensues, in which, of course, Velma discovers 2 more clues. She discovers both like full-on werewolf tracks and a tuft of like the werewolf hair. I guess they're in like the boiler room. I guess it's like dusty. I don't know how else there would have been tracks, but that's what she discovers. As they're she's like getting these clues together. She's like focusing on the clues. Slater swoops in and saves her because the werewolf is like about to pounce. But in the process,
he saves her in the wheelchair. I guess when you say swoop in, I think of him like grabbing her and like running off with her. But I'm like, wait a minute, he's in a wheelchair.
Do you want me to explain what what happened?
Yeah.
They're like in the boiler room. There's a bunch of stairs and like pipes and stuff. He's like on an upper floor. He sees it's happening and he like rides down the like giant pipe on his wheelchair, a la like, I don't know, like snowboarding, like half pipe situation or something, like
shreds down it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like down the rail, not the half pipe, but and then like rams into the werewolf, like sending him off of like Velma. But you hear, as that happens, you hear like the crash that ensues, like off to the next floor. And the next time we see Slater, he's in a full body cast from that crash. It's like, yeah, he's like in like,
that's hilarious. You know what?
So
fuck it. I was gonna say that's not funny seeing people get so injured that they can't use any of their body, but in this case, oh my god,
it's like, and it's one of those like only like there's only an eye slit and like the like, and I guess like a nose slit, or like I guess the mouth too, like eyes and mouth, and then the like moving like palette things where it's like the little like, I don't know, tray, and then like almost like, I don't know, metal just sticking up from it that you can like stack boxes on.
Yeah.
That's what he's on. Like he's just
a dolly.
Yes, a dolly.
I think. Yeah,
a dolly.
Standing on a dolly.
He's on a dolly.
They're like wheeling him around.
Yes. Literally wheeling him around. So like, this is the first time I think maybe in Scooby-Doo that like very serious injuries have taken place and been acknowledged. And then like the abuse of like a like temporarily handicapped person is taking place. I do want to point out that they're wheeling him around on this dolly, and also I'll get to it later, but like it gets worse. Like,
oh no. How? Well, the only thing that's not wrapped up are his eyes and his mouth.
We'll get to how they treat him in such a state.
Oh, no.
Okay, so this is clearly like the final straw for them of like, okay, we need to put an end to this terror because, like, again, serious injuries have taken place.
Slater's hospital bills cannot take any more.
Yeah, exactly. This one, I will say, is a pretty short story today because there's so much singing that takes place of, like, actual things happening. Okay. So, again, it's a slightly shorter episode today.
That's all right. Let me interrupt you like 20 more times then so that we can drag this out.
Go for it.
Keep going.
So
I'll interrupt you to ask you to continue your story.
I try to guess what I'm going to say as I say it. Perfect. So using an elaborate Rube
sorry. Yeah. That just bought us like 3 extra minutes.
Everyone's probably like, no, make your episode shorter. Like, let her tell her damn story. Whatever. The gang gets the werewolf to yet again fall down the trap door. A couple things of very special note here right now. One, they do this while singing that Fred is the man song type of thing. And he's like, there's like vines from the decorations and he's swinging around on them like George of the Jungle while the Rube Goldberg machine just like does its thing and does its magic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole, he's very proud of himself, which I guess he should be, but
sure, those machines are pretty impressive. I'll give them that.
This one's pretty complicated, or at least large.
And swinging from a vine is not easy.
Yes,
so
it's a lot of upper body situation.
Yeah. Way to go, Fred.
Two notably is that, again, the abuse of Christian Slater is that how they get the werewolf to fall in the trap door is that like they somehow like open a window where like all of the pigeons from New York like start flying in and getting specifically luckily into this werewolf's face. And as the werewolf is like backing up and like trying to like get them out of the way, instead of just being like, oh, he's walking backwards and blinded, he's just going to fall into this trapdoor. They push Christian Slater over in the full body cast so that the werewolf can trip backwards over his fully stiff cast body.
They essentially use him for tabletop.
Yeah.
They tabletop the werewolf with Christian.
Yeah, and it's not like okay, let's lay him down kind of thing. Like Scooby or Shaggy are like, okay, and then they just shove him over and he falls face first on the ground. So yeah, it's not great.
Slater's like, why the hell did I hire these people?
I should have called like an authority.
The police.
Yeah, they would be in here some shit.
Yeah, like, they would not be using me as a prop to trip this werewolf.
Yeah, so
they'd probably just shoot the werewolf.
Right, exactly. I mean, at this point, like it would have been faster than this Rube Goldberg machine that took like 10 tries for Fred to set up. He kept probably yelling at everyone like, "Don't touch that part yet." Like a whole.
He probably accidentally was snipping around and bumped into something and knocked the whole thing over. They had to start over.
Yeah, they like have to just hope that the werewolf doesn't come in and knock it over too early. That was a risky move, for sure. Also, speaking of Rube Goldberg machines, I can't remember which song, but there is an incredible OK Go video because like OK Go, like TBT to that band. Their like shtick for music videos is that they do them all in one take. And it's really cool. So there's one on an airplane with like zero gravity, like induced, which is really cool. There's the classic treadmill one, but there's one that's a full Rube Goldberg machine, and it is so freaking good. You can just go type "Okay Go" Rube Goldberg, look it up later. Anyways, so yes, abuse Slater, trips, trapdoor, opens up, notably and very again creepily of this school. The werewolf falls into a full-on cage that was like waiting to trap him, and like the lid slams on it and it like comes up and it's straight up like a 4-wall like full bar like prison that was just in this high school in like underneath the ground.
Okay,
I'm concerned for the students. So Velma, again, she's actually kind of the only one. What is your question? What is your concern?
I'm just thinking about because there's a cage in the basement of this school. So I'm like, how is this happening?
I don't know.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, I do not know. I'm very concerned. I also don't think it was just like a stage prop because this like werewolf is clearly strong enough to rip the like top of the mystery machine off. That it's strong enough then to like break through some cardboard bars or something, and he wasn't. So I think it was like some real strong metal there, like reinforced. So Velma, since she's the one who's been finding all the clues, she pieces it together, of course. And so she rips the mask off. And would you like to take any? Oh, let me run through again, I guess, the clues.
Yeah, real quick. Clues and I have a couple of ideas, but this, and real quick, I'll stop you and say that something I've noticed about the newer versions of Scooby-Doo is that they definitely do a better job of like giving you a larger pool of possible suspects.
Yes. Big time.
Having more, just like, I guess, more obvious clues rather than like a random receipt that what are we supposed to know what this receipt is for?
Right. Or like, we've met one person this whole episode.
Exactly. It's like, it has to be them. That person. Yeah. So yes, please recap through clues and our players here.
Yes. Sorry about that. So we have, first of all, there's the heel of a shoe. Again, a sensible heel, chunky leather heel.
Sorry. Real quick, before you go, I was thinking that you were going through the people first, the suspects, and I was like, wait a minute, the heel was a suspect? So I was like, oh yeah, duh, clues
The
first.
heel did it. The shoe did it.
The heel. Take the mask off. It's a heel underneath it. Her shoe.
It's the rest of the shoe.
Anyway.
Great. No, these are clues that we're talking about now. So yeah, heel of a shoe. We have the tuft of werewolf fur. We have a werewolf footprint as well. Are there any other ones? I think that was primarily it.
I mean, to me, the cage in the basement is maybe it's not a clue, but it's definitely worth like questioning.
That's a clue into, again, other investigation. I think another theme in Scooby-Doo is like who isn't being investigated but should be. Like the last episode that you just did, like maybe the old man by the river who sent kids off to their death happily. In this one, or maybe this school.
Yeah, a lot of things going wrong here. NYPD.
Yep, exactly.
Go check them out.
Yeah, it's not great. So then our suspects. So I guess not even suspects. Here's everyone we've met so far, because we have to go through everyone. So the gang is here. Christian Slater's obviously, they wouldn't be there without him. He brought them to the mystery. Simone, possibly drunk clown who's pissed at Slater. Super elitist dance teacher who hates dances. Drama teacher who also just hates this other art form and it's pedantic to be dancing. Timmy, the hater slayer. So
Slater hater. Whatever.
Yeah, like has been hating him forever. This rivalry. I know there's so many more characters now to consider motivation. They all kind of have motivation.
Exactly. Like there are so many characters and they all have motivations. It's different. Like the last episode I did, there were like 4 characters, one of which had one line. So, he's out. The other, like it would be counterintuitive for him to be the monster because it would ruin his own business. So it's like, okay, it's got to be those 2 then. This one though, they all have a motive. So now it's whose motive is strong enough to drive them to do something this extreme
for a second time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, for a second time, and then to continue by scaring all these people. So I'm gonna say it's not Slater because when you're in a full body cast, it's hard to run around in a werewolf costume. Gosh, I'm gonna say it's not the clown lady because she's too drunk to function.
I truly wrong, think she was drunk. Yeah,
I'm gonna guess that it's the theater. I'm between the theater teacher and the dance teacher. God, but that Timmy guy, he's suspect too. Like if you have Slater hater written on your chest, but ultimately he's not just going after Slater, he's going after anybody. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say the dance teacher first actually and the drama teacher second. I think the dance teacher's hatred for the dance stuff was larger than the drama instructors, but tell me that I'm wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what my prediction was as well, because my prediction was also wrong. So I
am wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You said also wrong. Okay. All right. You are incorrect. So I am wrong.
Yes.
I'm wrong. Okay.
So I'll take you through, I guess, my prediction journey.
Yeah.
Because it changed as it went throughout, and
it's very fluid.
What aspect I flag as like, oh, yeah, that was wrong. So when it first started, because I'd been watching the old seasons, when Simone came in, I thought she was going to be the only other character. So I was like, oh, well, she did it. She's the only other person here. Like, great. But then we get introduced to 3 other suspects. And
you're like, whoa, back up, Scooby-Doo.
Like, they all did it?
I can't keep all this together.
Yeah, give me the old episodes when I only had 2 people to choose from. But then, I was like, okay, well, I guess since they introduced someone else, probably someone else. And I originally was like, okay, well, it's got to be Timmy because they saw him in the school still. And
but so it's not Timmy too then, because you were saying you were also okay. So
a callback to my last story. It was Christian Slater.
What?
And then
Are you kidding me?
The face off of the full body cast, and it was Simone underneath because Christian Slater fucking kidnapped her and put her in the full body cast, pretended like he was injured. Yeah, so there was some kidnapping on his hands.
Whoa.
Yep. The rest of it was pure Hollywood fucking magic because, I'm just going to go through your shock right now and let you know what's happening.
Please. So, oh my gosh.
Velma unravels how she was like, I knew it, because she reveals a clue that she did not tell anyone fucking about.
Why does she always do that?
Right?
I swear
she's better than everyone else.
She always holds it in. I'm like, Velma, we could have figured this out hours ago anyway.
Like, don't you think you should have told all of us before we were walking around with this crazy man? But apparently her first clue was immediate because when she shook his hand politely and then like acted like the fangirl being like, I'm never going to watch it again. Like they don't blatantly say it, but like, it's kind of like there was like something left on his hand that got onto her hand, and they realized like, oh, he's been using special effects, voice boxes, like lighting, lasers, like stage makeup. So it was probably like stage makeup that like was on her hand.
Yeah.
And so she was like, that's suspicious, and figured it out.
Yeah. It is.
So again, she was like, here's how, and he knows all of this stuff because he's a Hollywood actor. He knows how special effects work. Some of the stuff like doesn't fully get explained, like the shoe that was broken, I guess is just like someone was in a rush and they like
left their broken shoe there. It wasn't.
I think the hair
totally innocuous.
I think the hair was to be like, oh, it's fake hair, not like real canine hair. Obviously,
we know that. I guess it was more because they like to still have the mystery of like, is it really a monster or is it someone in a costume? And in this case, they're like, oh, it's hair, like it's costume hair. Anyway,
so as all of this is happening, Simone is like, Slater straight up like trapped me and put me in here to be his double. So like I was thinking about it and I was like, I guess like ruining prom technically isn't like a full crime in the sense of like beyond maybe like inciting violence or like destroying private property, maybe but
breaking
like,
into the building.
But he was already in there for prom.
Oh, that's duh.
Type of thing. But I was like, he just kidnapped this woman and put her like in, because like again, she's like bound and gagged, which is why she like wasn't speaking at all. Oh so I guess the mouth was covered but the nose was open or something. But so she was like, she didn't say he fucking put me in here, but she was like, oh my god,
she implied the fucking
and so like he's like and they just like wheel her off to the side and we don't see her the rest of the episode. They're like, sorry, but they don't get her out of the rest of the full body like cast.
We'll let the doctor take you
sorry about that, bye. So
I'm
now
so confused.
Yes, so
I shouldn't say I'm so thrown for a loop.
Yes,
my mind is trying to continue.
We're gonna fully get into it now of the motivations, because they ask why. They're like, well, no, they sing why. They're like, why Christian Slater?
It's a musical.
Yes, I'm gonna remind you once again that it's a musical.
Thank you.
So Slater explains the whole saga of it, which is he did all of this for a girl. Which also in another like very funny moment, I lied. Simone does pop in one more time and she's like, is it me? And he goes, no, and then shoves her out of the frame.
Savage.
It was
damn
so fucking funny. It was good.
Like, no, I don't care about
I feel like, nah, bitch, get out of here. You clown. I'm an actor.
Literal clown.
It was great. Anyways, back in high school at prom, he already had this like bad boy cool image to uphold. Like he was kind of young when he was like in the Heathers and was playing like the leather jacket, again like psychopath bad boy in that film. But a girl asked him to dance in classic Scooby-Doo. She was like a trained Irish dancer and he was like, I don't dance, first of all, nor do I do that, is like what he played off. But in reality he was like deeply ashamed and embarrassed because like he liked this girl, but like he like couldn't like ruin his image and wasn't willing to like be embarrassed. So he's kind of haunted by shame and like ran from the prom, but was like, I need a better excuse as to why I didn't dance with her. So fuck it. I'm going to ruin the prom. And so
a werewolf busted in.
It's an art school. So there was a werewolf costume in like a locker that he pulled out. Yeah. So rather than working through his like feelings on this, he leaned into like pent up male rage taught by society, found that werewolf costume, donned it, and ran back in to destroy prom. Then 30 years later, this redo prom just like reopened all of these unhealed like traumas and wounds.
These wounds were still fresh.
So fresh. So he destroyed it all again because he just could not face the truth. But this time I think like the guilt was a little too much. And so he wanted to find a way to like show like he was sorry and like find some type of reason like for the werewolf so he could like tell his fellow alumni like, no, this was all real, and like, look, I was the hero here. I think my main takeaway from this one was like, go to therapy and like work through these traumas because he clearly didn't fucking do that.
If you don't go to therapy to work through your trauma, then we all let our inner werewolf come out of us,
and we don't want that. And you're going to destroy what you should be enjoying.
You'll lose sleep. You won't be able to recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. Your hair may get matted and start growing in just weird ways.
You're going to ruin so many outfits when you like werewolf Hulk out. Like never go shopping again. You're going to ruin your fit.
So just go to therapy instead.
Yes. And I do want to point out like that is the end of the story, but I do want to point out that in the closing song, Christian Slater is like, I do wish she was
Of course,
here.
What would it be without a closing number?
Oh, and it is wild, this closing number. Like, I'll describe it in a second, but like in leading to this closing number, you know, he's like, oh, and how I wish she was here now so I could like finally have that dance with her. And then Velma goes, funny enough, here she is. And then like the woman is suddenly there, Irish dancing. And then banners come down that have everyone's face on them. There's fireworks. There's confetti. The mystery machine comes up on a platform that's spinning. Everybody's Irish dancing. Oh my God. The big finale. And it's over.
Truly a big finale. I was not expecting the fireworks.
In a school.
Also, I guess I was kind of expecting you to say that the lady who he was like in love with, that it was going to be like the dance teacher or something. Like, here she is. Look, it's the dance teacher. No, it's a random woman who happened to be there. Yeah.
There in like the flashback, and that was it. Also, though, that would have been a spicy ending with like him being in love with her as a high school student and her being the teacher. Yeah, that's what I thought you were going with that.
Sorry. Never mind. I see now. Yeah, I thought you meant her still being a high school student. I was like, whoa, no. We can't do that. No. Yes, I see though. Yeah, that would have been super spicy. But then I was like, well, he's already seen like he said the teacher was a suspect, so he knows that it's not her. So I was like, that can't be right. But it would have made more sense than her randomly popping up, this random high school crush of his.
Random lady. Yeah. I'm still an Irish dancer. What's up? Yeah.
Oh, wow. They did it again. They did it again. That's 2 episodes now in a row from you where I've been like, oh, well, obviously it's not that person. It's probably this person. And I actually did it even more embarrassingly this time because I was like, it's clearly not Slater. He's in a body cast. I did try to fool you. I did try to set it up so that you would, think that he was truly in the body cast. Yeah, because I was also surprised. Again, I thought it was Tim. And I guess I'm wondering at what point he put Simone.
I think it had to be from like
to the cast.
I think it was right away because like that time they did like acknowledge that he did go to the hospital. Like when like they re-meet basically all up in like, I don't know, some, again, milkshake shop. And they're like, you're back from the hospital. And he's like in the thing. So he probably like fake went to the hospital, kidnapped Simone, put her in it. Cause I guess it's easy to make a full body cast. He probably had to like knock her out. Gets fucking dark. Yeah. She wakes up in a full body cast, bound, like.
Yeah. Put like socks or something in her mouth so that she's not even. And I thought that we saw her, I thought we saw her again.
Only after the broken leg.
Oh, so that was before the full body cast, after the first injury. Okay, yep. That's what it was.
Again,
it's like, I thought we saw him after he got hurt, but there were multiple injuries.
And that broken leg one was a fake injury, which is why he didn't go to the hospital. He let teenagers make the cast for his leg that he was just like, it's broken. And they were like, okay, we'll make a cast. So
makes sense now. So he's like, it's not actually broken, which is why teens can just do this real quick.
Yep, and it's fine. I can tell you about these suspects to throw you off. And like, haha, I am the red herring we're singing about.
Oh, he did it again. He is red herring. Now, though, that ruins my theory about the broken legs. Shoot. Unless, I mean, well, he knew that he was setting a trap for himself to go into. So maybe he just like put some mattresses or something.
And that's actually maybe why he was like, keep running. To be like, exactly. Don't realize I just fell in a pool. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I fell in a ball pit. Actually, you like hear the balls are like the foam balls.
Yeah,
he's like swimming through them. Yeah.
Oh man! Also,
don't come down here.
Ow, my leg! I'll come up there eventually. Like crawls his way up or something. So yeah, I was a little hesitant of like, doing one that was so similar in the sense of like, it was the culprit, person you didn't expect type of thing. But
because the most obvious was the least obvious? Yeah, or the least obvious was the most obvious explanation, I guess. Yeah. So kind of like, what's it called? Occam's razor. Like the most obvious answer for something is usually the answer for something. It's like, Christian. Although I don't know if it was super obvious for Christian Slater here, but in the Jekyll and Hyde one, yes, that was like, dang it was so obvious. I didn't want it to be real, but that was it.
Exactly. Yeah, which is like most of Scooby-Doo, but like that's why I like also creating the theories of like, okay, but if it was this person, this is the side story I came up with that I hope it's them for reason X, Y, and Z. And it was interesting watching, this like brand new season. And just compared to, and I will say maybe it's because it was the fucking musical one that a lot of the time was like, again, I feel like I went through my story quickly. It's because a lot of the time was spent singing about a single moment rather than having the next moment actually happen. That like, I think if you took out all of the songs themselves, this episode would have been maybe 11 minutes. Like
it's like literally 9. Half the episode.
Yeah, and like the rest was just song. So but again, I was like, I watched it. Everyone else has to deal with it.
Even with the warning that it's a musical episode, I'm definitely going to go and watch this one probably shortly after we hang up, because I know it's like, all right, I don't have to pay that much attention since it's a musical.
Yes, please.
And now that you've painted this beautiful picture in my mind of what happens,
please,
but I do need to give it a watch because I will. Oh, I will. Okay, I might even send some like selfies of my facial. You need to see me like shaking my head or rolling my eyes or something.
Amazing.
Because I think I can definitely say with like almost 100% certainty that this version of Scooby-Doo, that Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, or Scooby-Doo Guess Who. Yeah, so I don't think I've seen a single episode of this one.
Yeah.
I actually thought that Mystery Incorporated was the most recent one that they'd done. So this to me is like super new. I think this is after Mystery Incorporated, because Mystery Incorporated was like 2017 or something. So if you're saying this was 19, I'm like, oh my God, I have a whole other like maybe 1, 2, I don't know how many seasons it was of Scooby-Doo to watch. I got to catch up on this.
Yeah, which is why
now I'm like, I'm totally going to check this episode out at least. But I'm sure that there are better ones that are not.
Yeah, I think they're probably hard.
Definitely. But so I like that they get like goofier with it and more lighthearted, because there are plenty of serious episodes from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s and whatnot. It's like, all right, new millennia, we can kind of like
it was nice to like
and liven it up,
shake it up a little bit. And again, I think next week you're doing back to the Scooby-Doo show.
I am.
Yeah, I'll be doing another one.
I'm gonna switch it up. Well, no, so I'm gonna stick with the Scooby-Doo show for the next episode, but after that, I don't know, I might have to revisit a pup named Scooby-Doo, or as much as we hate Scrappy-Doo, I might have to check out an episode. We do. I mean, it would be malpractice not to. We can't call ourselves like I guess we're not a Scooby-Doo podcast in particular, but clearly we're going to be talking about Scooby-Doo a lot on here, and I feel I would be remiss to not even do one episode from
part of the
Scooby
canon.
and Scrappy.
We must acknowledge.
We'll spend a lot of it talking about how annoying Scrappy is. So I think people will enjoy that anyway. So we might as well just get it out of the way. Tackle a couple of those. So we'll see.
Yeah, I tried to be like, okay, I'm gonna do one from it. Like, it's fine. I literally got into the theme song and was like, nope, I don't want to do this one. And then into the musical and would rather have done the musical one. I will also do a Scrappy one at some point.
Yeah. Or maybe I'll do What's New Scooby-Doo first. Cause I did really like that one too. Where like Simple Plan. Yeah. The theme song at the beginning, which awesome song, by the way. Love it. But
every theme song, I will say, always a banger. Like they've never dropped that. Is there one except for the Scrappy one? I guess because he's
so I actually don't remember what the Scrappy one is. I just had another idea for more bonus content. I know we keep saying bonus content, but we might have to have another episode where we just go through all of the intro music and the music in general. Because, for example, like the music from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo absolutely freaking slaps. Like. Them are some bangers on that show. The music on A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is amazing. Like the perfect kind of like 80s soda pop type of music. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Damn. Yeah. So we're gonna have to talk about that.
In your first episode, when I went and watched it afterwards, the Scooby-Doo show has some good songs too.
I think so. I like the background music.
Like the 70s, like still dipping into late 60s rock a little bit, a little psychedelic. It's good. Yeah. And you know what? Also, like, it might be funny that we're like, we haven't done our bonus content yet, but we are going to be recording it soon and maybe splicing it in before some of these episodes get released. So at this point, you could have someone we don't know about it yet.
That's true. Very true. And
look for it is what we're saying.
On that same note, people may be noticing that I've only been wearing Bengals gear for the past every episode so far. And it's because as of recording this, the Bengals are preparing to play in the Super Bowl. My hope, and even in our last episode, I think I was wearing like a Bengals half zip or something. And that was when they just started the playoffs when we recorded that. So you all will see for like months to come that you'll think that I own nothing but Bengals gear. So it's like when we recorded, certain things were going on and we've done things in between. So ignore some of the things that we say talking about perspective ideas or what we're wearing, because it's like we
pre-record a lot of
while before posting them.
Like we've got a lot of shit going on, so we try to get out ahead of ourselves. So like
we're kind of like functioning adults. So as much as I wish this was my only job or my only life obligation, it's not.
So, and thus
maybe you can help that happen though. Who knows?
Future conversations will be had over this. But one way actually to help us out is to spread the word about Saturday Morning Mysteries. So Bert, who should they tell our podcast about
this week? Because I'm guessing that some crazy event is going to happen that's going to knock everybody's power out. Tell your electrician when he stops by your house to check out our podcast. Tell the electrician.
And then I think you should also, in that same scenario, tell your neighbor who knocks on your door to be like, is your electricity out too? And then you're like, yeah, it fucking is, Karen. Like, it's out on the whole street. Like, no
open your eyes.
Come on. Don't come over to my house like randomly. Obviously, my electricity is out. Do you see my lights on? I don't think so. But instead of doing that, be like, hey, do you have data on your phone? Here, let me subscribe to this podcast for you. Listen to that until the power comes back on.
Boom. I know that we're all on reserves right now using our generators, but whatever power your generator has, use it to watch this vlog or this video cast or to listen to this podcast.
Get it together, Carol. Listen to this shit. Do it, Steve with a PH. Come on.
Steve with the PH.
Stephen, aka Steve. Yes. Sorry to all the Steves out there, but it's not your fault. Your parents named you that. So,
when you say Stephen with PH, I think Steph. And I'm like, well, that's my mother.
That's Stephanie.
That's Stephanie.
You don't spell Stephanie.
You too, though. Do it, Steph. What are you doing?
Steph.
If she's not listening, then my God, I'm worried that no one else is. Although Actually, no, let's be fair. Our moms would listen to one episode and they'd be like, well, they're really good at this. Yes, but they're really fucking weird. So I don't want to listen either.
Their moms would be like, you know, we love our daughters. And that would be the end of the statement. And they'd be like, do you want some more champagne, Steph? Do you want some more champagne, Pam?
That's the review. Someone's like, so what do you guys think about this podcast that your daughters are working on now?
Really love
them.
We
love our daughters.
And then like they'll just walk out of the room. Like they just leave.
In different directions.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, tell your electrician this week and your mother.
Yeah.
And
your
love your
neighbor.
moms.
Yep. All right, tell them all. Well, we'll see you next week for an Alexis episode.
An Alexis episode. I will be back with a new Saturday morning mystery.
Woo! Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.